Get this. You can be right in an argument, but that doesn't mean you need to fight over it or prove your point as the better person in the room. In this world, we all have many different opinions, and we tend to get into arguments about them all of the time. You can try to explain yourself, but if the other person does not listen or isn't convinced that you are right, there isn't much you can do about it. So the best thing to do is just move on. We are going to be discussing more on this right after our introduction.
Gym time? Yeah. Podcast time? Definitely. Time to work those confidence muscles.
Okay, bet. The Davis Knight Show, yeah! Welcome back. I am your host, Davis Knight, and this is episode 156 of The Davis Knight Show. If you are new here, right now is the time we jump into what I like to call our You issue, where today we will be talking about, you guessed it, not always needing to prove that you're right. First, remember this. Not every single little dispute, especially the little stuff like what are we having for dinner, did the Titanic really hit an iceberg, who's at fault for breaking my watch, or other things. Arguments soon turn into being mean to each other, yelling, or sometimes even worse, like physical bullying. And when you find yourself in an argument, remember, stopping does not mean you lost the argument or that someone else is right and you are wrong. It means that you are taking the higher road and exercising self-control by realizing that winning does not matter. Think about what Jesus would do. He always took the high road. Peace. In 1 Corinthians 6, Paul says to the people who want to win disputes so badly, they make it become more important than treating people with kindness. In Paul's own words, why not suffer wrong? You can see it for yourself in 1 Corinthians 6:7. Paul is not saying that you should just let people deliberately wrong you. He's saying that sometimes we overreact and we do not need to fight to the end and make sure we always win to the point where we become mean. Sometimes it is best to control your response. When your brain says, I need to explain one more thing or I must go on and prove that I am right, think for a second and ask, have I already stated my point? And if someone like a parent, a teacher, or anyone really who's an authority figure in your life, or technically just a friend asks you to stop, then stop. With that, I'd like you to remember, being heard does not mean that someone has to agree with you. Ending an argument does not mean you lost, and real strength is being able to stop even when your brain desperately wants to keep going. Finally, remember this. I do not need agreement in order to be heard. Just because you have to say something does not mean everyone must believe the same thing you do. So as always, I challenge you the next time something gets to you, don't argue to the point where it's straight up rude or become pompous like, I am right, everyone must listen to me and believe the same I do. Because that is what starts arguments and even wars when you think about it that way. And just like that, it looks like we have concluded our You issue for today. But don't click off just yet. There's still lots of fun to have along the way, such as news in a simple perspective, trivia, jokes, tech tips, and much more, so stay tuned. Next up is, what in the world will we discuss? All things news. Trump signed 2 executive orders. The first is called Continuing to Protect the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. The law aims to clarify and narrow down what is considered birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. The new bill says things like citizenship can be denied if their parents are involved in certain affairs, such as 1, they are known members of organizations focusing on terrorizing Americans. 2, have records that show involvement in foreign government lobbying or being employed by a foreign government overall. This one especially applies to countries with histories of being an enemy of the United States, but context matters for this one. Or number 3, if their parents engaged in fraud or other illegal methods of entering or staying in the United States. This bill also restricts citizenship if you're born in the American Samoa or any other future overseas territories that don't have bills discussing bylaws of citizenship. However, those born in the American Samoa are still entitled to becoming American nationals. The other executive order is pretty simple. It's called Ending Birth Tourism, and it focused on cracking down on people who come to the U.S. just with the goal of giving their child birth citizenship. Yesterday morning, the Senate narrowly appointed Todd Blanchett as the new Attorney General of the United States. When I say narrowly, I mean it. It was 50 to 49, including all Democrats and 2 Republicans that denied it. If you don't know, the Attorney General is like the chief legal officer of either the country or the state. Before he was Attorney General, he was Trump's attorney. Next, Trump is criticizing an attorney for dropping a case of the vandalism of the Lincoln Memorial Pool, which Trump claims was vandalized to the point it turned green. I don't know all the facts about this, but I think that when I covered this as it happened, I said I was a little suspicious that it turned all green after a multi-million-dollar renovation, but I may also believe that considering it was early summer and apparently the anti-algae machines were temporarily off, it could very well be just that, algae. Next, after a court halted Trump's construction of his White House ballroom, Trump claims he will escalate it to the Supreme Court. A lot of Trump news lately, so we will have one more and then I want to address something. What I was going to talk about is Iran will open up the Strait of Hormuz under a list of conditions, including that we give Iran back money we froze from them, as well as that the U.S. Navy must stop surrounding the area. We are unlikely to comply. Next, this is bad. You know how Coca-Cola has names on Coca-Cola bottles? Well, you can order custom bottle packs and put text on them. It was found out you could put things about Allah, crimes against children, and other things. However, Coca-Cola has explicitly banned you from putting "Make America Great," "Jesus is King," "Jesus is God," along with many other phrases, leading to a massive boycott. Next, I want to state something else. Kamala Harris went online and explained the SAVE Act very dramatically and allowed me to give an impression. Then this president is trying to push the SAVE Act, which basically would require that for people to register to vote, you're going to have to prove of who you are. Like, come on now. You need an ID to do things every day. Board a plane, and even now buy non-alcoholic products. You and your parent need an ID to unlock half of a Google account. But apparently, voting? No. What's next? Are we going to say birds don't need wings to fly? Or you don't need a driver's license to drive and we just assume you passed driving school? And that's the end of What in the World. And now that I have filled your brain with information, it's time to use information from your brain with unrelated trivia. Question 1 is Florida-themed. Which Florida governor served for only 3 days? A. Bob Graham. B. Wayne Nixon. C. Bob Martinez. Or D. Ferris Bryant. I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is B. Wayne Nixon only served 3 days because the previous governor, Bob Graham, had an issue where he was governor when he ran for the Senate election, and the Senate commenced 3 days before his term as governor ended. So he resigned as governor, and while Wayne Nixon was governor, he did a lot, appointing 24 new people to roles across the state. Question 2 is U.S. history themed. In the same fashion as the last question, which U.S. president only served 32 days? A. William Henry Harrison. B. Zachary Taylor. C. Franklin Pierce. Or D. John Tyler. I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is B. William Henry Harrison only served 32 days as a U.S. president. He famously gave an hour-and-a-half inaugural speech standing outside in the cold rain, without anything on besides normal indoor clothing, which led to a really bad chill that turned into pneumonia, leading to his death. Question 3 is technology themed. What year was the Google Pixel smartphone launched? A. 2014, B. 2015, C. 2016, or D. 2017? I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is C. In 2016, the Google Pixel smartphone was created. Question 4 is gaming themed. When was the original PlayStation released in Japan? A. 1992, B. 1994, C. 1998, or B. 2001? I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is D. 2001, when the original PlayStation was released in Japan. Question 5 is sports themed. What sport was played on the moon? A. Golf, B. Tennis, C. Bowling, or D. Football? I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay, the correct answer is A. Golf was the only sport played on the moon by Alan Shepard. Now time for the fun stuff. Are you ready to smile? Drum roll, please. Joke of the week. Why did the politician wear sneakers? Any guesses? He was running for office. By the way, this is an original joke made by yours truly, me. Anyways, haha, get it? Like running for office and running. A lot of people wear sneakers when they're running. Now time for the tech tip. A lot of people have forgotten about these two things, so I want to bring light to them. 1. Your iPhone has a reminders app, and if it's not there or was likely deleted, it is on the App Store. And that is where you set reminders. And now it has features such as automatic sorting of things like groceries based on product type and allows the making of lists. Also, you can FaceTime on Android. The iPhone user creates a link in the FaceTime app and sends it over, and anyone can join as long as they have a web browser on their device. I don't know why no one uses this, but it's there. Now, before we close down today's episode, I'd like to mention I have partnered with Advent Health, a nonprofit hospital, to help them with my Be a Mind Reader campaign, which focuses on helping to stigmatize children's mental health. And you can help out by donating today. To donate, please go to www.thedavisnature.com, and then under the About Us section, you'll see the link to donate. And if you can't donate, please remember to rate and review my podcast, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe. Okay, thanks for listening to the Davis Knight Show. Now go and have a great day, and make sure to smile. I will see you in the next episode. Bye!